The broadcast is now starting. All attendees are in listen-only mode.
Good morning, everyone. This is Julie McDonald with Microcom Technologies, and I'd like to thank all of you for attending today's webinar with IgniteNet. Today's host is Tony. He'll be presenting, and if anyone has any questions, please feel free to submit them in the question box, and Tony will answer them at the end of today's presentation. Tony, I'm finished for now. Please go ahead and take it over.
Excellent. Thank you. As Julie said, my name is Tony Strondinoli. I work for IgniteNet out of the Southern California headquarters, and thank you all for attending today's webinar. I'm going to talk a little bit about IgniteNet in general, and then get into what we think is a unique feature of our cloud managed controller, which is the add-on marketplace, and talk about how that benefits, resellers, WISPs, and things like that. So let's get started. So for those that don't know, IgniteNet is a cloud managed wired and wireless manufacturer vendor. So we have what I think is one of the best cloud managed controllers in the market today, and it manages everything from our indoor-outdoor Wi-Fi products to wired switches. There's PoE wired and SFP wired switches that are managed by the cloud controller, and then there's 60 gigahertz point-to-point and point-to-multipoint broadband products, all managed from the same controller. The real focus of today will be this marketplace in the upper right corner. The marketplace, the add-on marketplace, is a kind of a third-party app store for your wireless network. So when you are positioning a new customer, whether they be retail or MDU or education, there are third-party applications that you can add to your cloud, and then it gets pushed down to that location. And you can not just sell wireless access points, but you're selling a service like marketing analytics for retail or cyber safe security for education or for home users. So we'll go into that marketplace, and I'll show you some examples of some of the third-party add-ons that we have, and talk about the benefits that they'll give you from a monthly recurring revenue perspective, as well as your customers. A little bit about IgniteNet for those that don't know. IgniteNet is a subsidiary of a company called Acton Technology Corporation, based out of Taiwan. IgniteNet has around 65 people today, not including manufacturing and finance and back office type staff. The headquarters are located in Southern California in Irvine, and we have development offices in Atlanta, Eastern Europe and the Czech Republic, and we have some people in Taiwan that do development as well as those back office application jobs. Our products are targeted mainly towards MSPs, ISPs, system integrators. So anyone who's deploying managed wireless services, whether that be retail, MDU, applications like hotels or apartment buildings, business offices and education campuses. So our cloud can manage thousands of devices from pretty much anywhere that you can get a web browser or a mobile device or a tablet or a laptop. We have two core cloud plans. One is the core plan, which gives you an unlimited number of sites with 500 devices per site. So basically an unlimited number of managed wireless access points can be managed from the single cloud application. There's a version of this cloud called the virtual private cloud that's private brandable. So you as the MSP can put your own logo and your own color scheme so that when people at that site location log in, they're not seeing IgniteNet, they're seeing your company's name and your company's logo. So we offer both those levels of cloud control and customization. Depending on the environment and the customer, some people like having that private branded cloud. From a product perspective, all of our products use the same basic software code, so they all have very similar feature sets. All of our radios can operate either as access points or as client WDS extenders. All of them support 8 SSIDs per radio. So there are dual band concurrent access points with 2.4 gig radios and 5 gig radios. So they would support a total of 16 SSIDs. And all of our products have standard features like 802.1x authentication, VLAN tagging, VLAN pass-through, and we have some proprietary and advanced features that I think kind of make it a little easier to manage the wireless network. Things like minimum client signal levels. So if you're deploying wireless in a, let's say, a convention center or a big hall or a stadium, you can set minimum clientless signal levels so that if one client has a signal level that's really low, they'll go connect to a different radio instead of this radio. And you can also set maximum client counts. So while each of these radios will support 64 concurrent clients, depending on how they're wired and the physical network that connects the access points, you may not want 64 users connected to each access point. So you can set that minimum count to something like 30 so that the user experience would be much better. And there isn't 60 people sharing the bandwidth, there's only 30. In general, our products do not require the cloud to be managed and function. So all the radios that we have in access points can function independently without the cloud. So unlike a physical hardware controller situation where the controller is the brains and the access points are, I think they call them light APs, when those controllers go down, the network basically ceases to function. In our environment, all of these devices can be managed locally with a local web GUI for configuration and management or through the cloud. So the cloud is not required. The marketplace that I was talking about earlier. So the marketplace is kind of like the phone, right? If we said we were introducing a new revolutionary flip phone, everybody would say, oh yeah, I had one of those years ago. And people don't use these types of phones now because smartphones came out. Smartphones came out, and while most of them are not very good at telephones, they're really good at giving us the ability to do lots of things with applications. So what we're trying to do with this add-on marketplace is kind of take that same app marketplace that you're used to in like Apple's iOS or Google Play Store and bring it to the wireless networking network environment. So for instance, if you're an MSP and you're targeting some retail chains, instead of trying to go in and say, oh, I have a dual band concurrent wireless access point and it's at this price and it's really good because it has cloud management, we're going into these chains and saying, hey, you're a retail store. Wouldn't you like to add some service like marketing analytics, like guest Wi-Fi service, and then be able to market back to the customers that come into the retail chain? So if you walk into a retail store and they have this Volare software on here, what you would get is you'd get obviously a landing page, right? You can have somebody sign in with specific social media login credentials, which would be great, or they can just create an account and log in. But once they do log in that retail store, now the store owner can get lots of information about who the customer is. If they log in with social media, you can get a lot of specifics, male or female, other types of likes, photos, things like that. So the next time that customer comes to the store, you could say, oh, this guy connected, send them an email with a coupon or some information about some new product that's in the store. And while they're not in the store, you can even do the same thing, follow up with emails and coupons and things like that. So creating this environment, so as the MSP, when you're going in there, you're not just selling a hardware solution and saying, hey, everybody needs Wi-Fi in the retail store. You're giving them the ability to not just offer Wi-Fi, but to actually do some marketing back to their customers that have come in the store. So Cloud4We is one third-party application that does this business, kind of retail-focused analytics application. We've had quite a number of successes with people like Telecom Italia, Fastweb, and then Forta over in Italy, where they've deployed Cloud4We wireless services with radios into retail environments. And it seems to work well. And it's a good story. Again, not just trying to sell hardware, but selling a solution to a problem that these retailers have, which is how do I keep my customers, how do I inform my customers, and how do I get them to come back? Sticky Wi-Fi is another example of a retail-focused add-on software. They're basically like Cloud for We, but a little different. So they can do the same kind of business analytics as far as letting users log in with social media contents, gathering information, as you can see below in that bottom right image, of who that person is and photos if they used social media to log in. But they can also track visitors that come in even if they don't log into the Wi-Fi network, which is kind of interesting. So anyone who has a mobile phone with Wi-Fi, even if you walk into a retail store and you don't access the wireless network, the access points are still listening. So it knows that your phone walked into the store, and it knows the MAC address of your phone. It doesn't know who you are or have any access to any of your private information, but it knows that a wireless device came into the store, it didn't log in, and it knows how long you stayed. So what Sticky Wi-Fi does is they track both people who logged in and people who don't log in. And for retail stores, they can, if you look at the graph in the upper left, they can show information about, how many people were in the building at the time, what the busiest times of the day were. And let's say it's a restaurant, you can staff more people in that time frame where it spikes up for the number of users goes up to 60, and less people in the early morning hours where it's like, 10 or less. So you can use this information not just for getting information about your customers that are coming in and marketing to them afterwards. You could also use it for staffing and internal uses, where you need more people and where you need less. So Sticky Wi-Fi is another unique software program. And all of these software applications, they're add-ons from this marketplace, and then they give you the ability to charge. Like you'd probably pay, let's say, $6 a month for Sticky Wi-Fi, but then you're charging your end customer, here's your Wi-Fi deployment, customers are gonna get Wi-Fi access, and for $8 or $10 more, I can give you business analytics and show you more information about your customers than you have today. And that's how that would work. So moving outside of the retail location into, say, the MDU space, like a hotel or education space, where cyber safety and security is a big key factor. Family Zones is a third-party application that does just that. So they have a cyber safety suite of applications that's not just software that sits on, say, the IgniteNet access point, but it's also an app that goes onto your children's phone. So let's say in a home application, you want your kids to be safe when they're, surfing around the internet. So it's content filtering. You can filter out all the stuff you don't want your children to go to, X-rated websites, keyword searches, things you just don't want them to have access to. But it goes even further than that. It gives you the ability to control the Wi-Fi in the network. At dinner time, there's no Wi-Fi, so it gets turned off between, say, 5 p.m. and 7 p.m. and the family has dinner and the kids aren't playing on their phones. It's chore-based, so you have your children, you give them 3 hours a day of internet access. If they do their chores, great. If they don't, you could take time away. So there's a lot of different things that they can do with Family Zone to control how the children are accessing the network. And the app stays on the phone, and sure, there are a lot of smart kids now, smarter than probably when we were younger, and they could just delete the app. But you'll get a notification that says, hey, your child deleted the app, and then I'm sure that would be good for the child. So this works really well in home situations. It works really well in hotels, we found. We've positioned this to several hotels that are able to now advertise, cyber safe internet surfing for children versus other properties that don't have it. And they find that it helps them get families that are on vacation, it helps them get more of those because they have this feature. And because these families feel safer when their children log into the Wi-Fi network in the hotel. Again, a little bit of positive news. So this has worked really, really well for PLDT. And PLDT is a large ISP in the Philippines. And they've deployed this to families as a residential gateway with cyber safety and Family Zone software built in. So it's worked really well. They've deployed over 20,000 units and it's still growing. So the market for the home user and for that MDU kind of hotel specific vertical is really, really growing, and they absolutely see the need for this type of over-the-top service. Not all of the apps in the marketplace will be third party. Some of them are ones that we design ourselves. For instance, Content Shield. Again, similar to Family Zone, but not quite. We developed Content Shield more for businesses that just want to do some basic level of DNS-based content filtering. Going into like a business, some offices block Facebook and Twitter and Instagram and all these other applications, so employees aren't wasting time during the day going there, as well as other pornography type websites. So we've developed this application as 4 basic categories and levels. There's none level where nothing is blocked. There's a relaxed blocking where it's just pornography type stuff, that basic keywords that block out pornography websites so they don't pop up, even by mistake sometimes when you're Google searching something at work and you type in the wrong thing. There's a medium level that protects even further dating sites, alcohol. It has a number of keywords set up to give you even more of a basic blocking. And then there's a strict level that basically blocks everything adult related, social networking, video sharing, anything deemed general time waster. So in the office environment, it's great. When you go in there and you're selling wireless services, you also upsell content filtering so that customers can feel a little bit safer about what their employees are doing in the office. There are other apps that we're doing. So the goal is to have multiple different choices in each vertical market, like retail, SMB, small business, SOHO type vertical, end user, home, and MDU type applications. So BlackPX is, I think, next on the integration list, and they're a company out of the UK. And they do a lot as far as landing pages and hotspot type applications. So a lot of their targets are really large stadiums, hotels, shopping centers, things like that. And while they won't have business analytics, they will have the hotspot features, the landing pages, the ability to control bandwidth per user, things like that. And a lot of our wireless products don't really have built-in hotspot features. So they require a connection to some external third-party hotspot applications such as BlackPX. For those that know IgniteNet pretty well, SMC Networks is a sister company, also a subsidiary of Acton Technology Corporation, and SMC is focused today on video surveillance applications for small, medium businesses and home users. And we'll integrate SMC Secure Watch Cloud into our application, into our cloud controller. Again, a lot of MSPs are going out and they're doing network installs and they're setting up wireless networks for people. And then those people are just going out and getting like a Nest Cam or some other camera. So we're trying to figure out a way, again, to help these MSPs, create more of a solution that solves a problem for customers instead of just selling an access point. So you could set up wireless and you could set up, some over-the-top service for the retail store. You might as well have the ability to set up video surveillance as well and manage it all from the same cloud. So that's what we're trying to do here. So we think it's the world's first app-enabled platform from a wireless networking perspective. And the idea here is to increase profits with additional monthly recurring revenues because of these over-the-top apps. And some of these customers can require 2 or 3 apps, and some of them will require 1. So it really depends on the vertical market that you're targeting and what their requirements are. Some can use business analytics as well as surveillance. Some will use business analytics as well as cybersecurity, like maybe Content Shield just for basic content filtering. So increasing the brand value through these innovative services, and then reducing churn and increasing customer stickiness so that the MSP himself, when he goes out and does customers, keeps getting more and more business from the same customers. Because again, it's not just providing hardware, he's providing a solution to a problem that customers have. And a lot of times these customers don't even know that they're having these problems. So that's it. I would open it up to any questions that anyone may have on any of the topics covered.
Thank you very much, Tony, for that wonderful presentation. And it looks like we do have a few questions here for you. Let me get started with the first one. With the Metrolink units, does the 5 gigahertz backup run 24/7, or does it kick in only as a failover?
So good question. So we didn't cover the Metrolink stuff here, but the answer is that the 5 gigahertz connection stays connected, but it doesn't pass any traffic unless the 60 gigahertz link goes down, and then it'll start passing traffic.
Okay, great. Let me go on to the next question. Does the cloud management have a bill pay feature?
It doesn't have a built-in bill pay feature, no. You'd have to have some other third-party software to cover bill paying like that.
Okay, let's go on to the next question. Let's see. Is there a cost involved for me if the MSP for the cloud features and customization?
So there is. So the retail list price of the core cloud is $99. So for the first 2 radios, if you only have 2 access points, the cloud is free for life. Once you add the 3rd radio, it's $99 a year, and that $99 is the same for 3 access points as it is for 5,000.
Thank you very much. Next question. Can you talk a little bit more about where the products are manufactured?
Absolutely. So IgniteNet, being a subsidiary of Acton, Acton Technology Corporation is a $1 billion OEM, ODM company based out of Taiwan. So they manufacture switching products predominantly for pretty much every tier 1 networking vendor you've heard of. We have 2 manufacturing facilities. One is in Shenzhen in China, and one is in Hsinchu in Taiwan. So they're our own manufacturing facilities. So the good news is we don't have to farm it out or send it out to somewhere else to get manufactured. We do it ourselves. But those are the 2 manufacturing facilities we have. And depending on the product, the Wi-Fi products are built in Shenzhen. The Metrolink products are still built in Hsinchu and in Taiwan right now.
Thank you very much. Next question. What is the warranty and support like for this feature?
So we offer 2-year warranties for the hardware of the products themselves. And then the third-party applications, depending on who they are. For instance, like sticky Wi-Fi, you'd sign up and we would bill you monthly versus Cloud4We, where if you signed up, they would bill you monthly. So the software, the third-party software add-on companies have their own individual warranties. So we can produce a document and provide it to Microcom so you can get access to what software, the pricing for each of the software add-ons, and then what the warranties are for each one. But it varies. Some of them are 1 year, some of them are lifetime, so it really depends on which one. So, but we can provide that information and put it together in a clean format that you can see it all in one place.
Thank you very much. Can you tell us more about your online tech support and customer support services?
Sure. All of our online support services, customer service, and tech support, they're all based out of Atlanta. We have one guy out in Eastern Europe that covers most of Europe support questions. But it's a simple process. You email support@ignitenet.com. A ticket is automatically generated and a support engineer is assigned, and then you would work with that support engineer on that and possibly all future support issues. If you had any, you'd be assigned an engineer specifically to work on your case.
Tony, thank you very much for answering those questions for us today. And also thank you to everyone for attending. If you have any further questions, please feel free to contact your sales rep or email us at sales@microcomtech.com. And if anyone wishes to view more products mentioned or shown here today, please visit us at www.microcom.us. And remember, this webinar presentation is being recorded and it will be uploaded to our Microcom YouTube channel. So to reference everything again today and view this whole entire presentation, you can do so on YouTube. Thank you, Tony, very much, and thank you everyone for joining with us today. Have a wonderful day.